Welcome to Comically Comics, your one-stop listen to all things comics. We're talking books, movies, TV shows, video games, and more. I must forewarn you, though, we are a spoiler cast, and what that means is we consider all properties, past, future, and present, to be valid, and we will spoil the hell out of them. I'm your host, Michael, along with my two co-hosts, Richard and Jeremy, and with all that being said, let's get started. All right, it is Sunday, November 12th, and we are here for finally the season finale of Loki, Season 2. But before we jump into that, one of the three of us has gone and seen Ms. Marvel. Not Ms. Marvel, The Marvels, which includes Ms. Marvel. It's the whole thing. Part of the title, I think. Yeah. Anyways, that someone is Richard. Richard, spoiler-free review of what you thought of the Marvels.
Yeah, I guess you want whelmed? You want the whelm meter?
Are we doing that?
Okay.
Let's do that.
I was pleasantly whelmed, I think. I wasn't whelmed, and I definitely wasn't overwhelmed, but I think I plant both feet solidly into the pleasantly whelmed. I was very, cautiously whelmed going in, like I said, with Secret Wars and, not Secret Wars, Secret Invasion and everything, and yeah, anyway, spoiler-free, can't really say anything else more than that, but it was fun. I had a fun time. So I don't think people like review bombing it or other people saying like it's terrible. I don't even know why they said it. I thought Iman Vellani's great in it. Brie Larson is way better. Jesus Christ. Is way better than she was in Captain Marvel. And unfortunately, Monica Rambeau is like kind of the stick in the mud, if you will, for this one.
I've heard reviews on like Nick Fury and how his personality, his attitude is completely different from Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Did you notice that as well?
You know what? This will be a slight spoiler, and that they don't even fucking reference Secret Invasion, which is I think the reason why I like it, because I think they themselves are even going, nope, that shit didn't happen. It was a branch timeline that got pruned.
Or did it, as we start to talk into Loki season 2?
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, what did you went with your wife as well? What did she think of it? I think she was the main reason y'all went, right?
Yeah, she really, because she likes Iman Vellani. She liked Miss Marvel and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, she really liked it. I don't know if she say overly whelmed, but she was like, this is leaps and bounds better than Captain Marvel. And yeah. And she was like, it's definitely better than Thor Love and Thunder.
Okay. That's the other thing. Because you're telling us off podcast. What is it better than? What did you enjoy it more?
Yeah, I liked it better than Thor Love and Thunder. I mean, that's got to be the bottom, right?
I would think so.
That's got to be the worst
pretty
one.
Disappointing.
So yeah. What else? I think I definitely liked it more than Eternals, and then I definitely liked it more than Quantumania, which is saying a lot because to me, Kang carried that movie for me.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, this was just a really fun time. One of the stuff that we kind of talked about spoilery, there's a certain planet that they go to, that they do something on this planet that it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like when it starts happening, I was like, oh God, here we go. and anyway, I was like, you know what? This is not that bad. So.
Okay. What about Multiverse of Madness?
No, I like Multiverse of Madness. A lot of people hate on it, but I like it. I know it wasn't a multiverse of madness. It was like 2 universes or whatever, 3 universes.
Right.
But
multiverse of flailing.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I thought it was I still think that one's like a really good one, but that's just
could have had Loki and his wacky flailing inflatable arm meme going through ice.
Wacky inflatable arm flailing tube meme.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, speaking of Loki, let's get into this. Season 2, episode 6, Glorious Purpose, also known to me as The Many Lives of Victor Timely.
Yeah.
We witnessed Loki's ascension to become the god beyond what he ever thought he wanted to be. That's my synopsis, leaving it at that. So, whelmings, what is y'all's whelmings for the series finale? Season finale. Sorry, not series. Season finale.
We're doing the episode and the whole thing, or just the episode?
Let's just do the episode and then we'll finish out
Okay.
the entire series at the very end.
I will say I'm pleasantly to overly whelmed, somewhere up in that top tier there. It was a really good episode. Had you like second guessing what was happening, what was going on, and trying to keep up with all the timey-wimey stuff. And I thought Jonathan Majors did a good job in this. Like I thought that part of it where he was in there was really good, and just I didn't count them, but I think we only got a couple hair flips in this one. So
yeah, I did not do a hair flip count, unfortunately. When I was doing my rewatch, I was like almost done with the episode, and there's a certain point, we'll get into it when we talk about it, but he did like a hair flip, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to do that. Anyway.
Yeah, no, because it didn't seem like there was that many in this one. He didn't have much of an opportunity, even though he did do a lot of time slipping.
Yeah.
But I thought in that too was really cool, seeing how they incorporated that, like bringing in the old episodes, but then him still playing off of it. I thought he did a great job in those.
Yep.
Cool. Richard, what's your whelming of this episode?
I'm pleasantly whelmed. It's mostly due to the ending. It's very bittersweet. It's possibly the series finale. I know you called it a series finale and you said season finale. We'll get into that as well, because like supposedly the head writer of the show had mentioned that, like this could potentially be the end of the series, for not necessarily for Loki, but for the Loki show.
Yeah.
But anyway, pleasantly whelmed. The VFX is just beautiful. This final episode had just some really cool moments, and pleasantly whelmed.
Gotcha.
Now, I was going to say, I really enjoyed the music throughout this episode too. I thought they did a great job with the music on this one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the notes that I have in here as well, is that like the editing in this and the score throughout the entire episode is just freaking so on point that I felt like that was more of a driving factor of how good this actually episode was than maybe the story itself.
Yeah.
But I was still pleasantly whelmed with it. I had to do a slight rewatch to really kind of like understand everything that I was like watching. Does that make sense? And like make sure that I got a full grasp of what was going on. So I don't know if that makes me slow or dumb or whatever the case is, but like I just wanted to make sure that like, because I saw all the reviews after I watched it, and everybody was like, oh my God, it's 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. Like, this thing's amazing. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, okay, this did not give me all the feels. Like, it was really good when it ended, but it did not give me all the feels there. So I want to watch it again. I'm still pleasantly whelmed by it. I understand everything that happened. I feel like the cinematography and the score moved a lot of those feels than the actual story in and of itself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
it does.
As y'all both look into the ether of like, what the fuck is he saying? I don't understand here. What's going on?
No, I get what you're saying, that like you weren't like necessarily moved by what was like the story itself, but like how they presented the story. So
yeah.
And honestly, scores play a lot into sometimes how people feel towards something, in my opinion. I feel like. No, I'm just trying to think of the reason I was like staring off is I was trying to think how I felt when I watched it live. I was a little bit upset just because of like, is this how we close the book on Loki? Like,
yeah.
I don't like this. I want him to have something a little bit nicer. But
I want him to live happily ever after with Sylvie and have little Loki babies.
I get, little inbred Loki babies.
But see, I mean, that's what also like begs the question of, well, it can't be because, well, unless again, I don't know. Never mind. That's going to get that whole down that deep rabbit hole of.
Let's fucking go down that hole now. Let's do it.
Hey, I was going to say we can go down it if you want.
Let's go.
Because, like, I mean,
I'm strapped in.
Because he got pulled supposedly from his timeline, got pulled from there to work, to be with part of the TVA, but yet we still have all these other movies and stuff that are after that timeline.
Well, he was a variant though from that timeline.
Yeah, true.
Sure.
So he was getting
Excellent.
pulled.
Yeah, makes total sense. Sure. Excellent. Yeah, makes total sense.
No, yeah, he was pulled. So like he was a variant, and so they already explained that like that's what they do is when you have a variant that branches off, that creates a whole new timeline that goes parallel, and so
Yeah.
taking him away, like that other timeline still just keeps going. So everything
Yeah,
still happened.
I keep forgetting about it because it was because what was it that made him a variant? Was it that he got the
Tesseract.
Yeah, that's right. He actually got it from Stark or whoever. Yeah, that's right.
During
I don't understand what you've just said.
Sorry, I had to play those clips. I just thought they were appropriate for this moment. It was a Hulk. Hulk took the stairs and then he bumps Tony.
Stark.
Time traveling Tony, not Tony during that moment in time kind of thing.
Right.
And then the Tesseract goes flying away, and then Loki grabs it and uses it to nope out.
Yeah.
That's right.
In Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that started off this whole thing started all the way back in Endgame when we couldn't get our hands on enough of MCU and what was going on then.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's going to be worse next year. Like we're going to have like nothing next year. It's going to be one movie.
Oh yeah. We're going to be doing a lot of reading, y'all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I like how it ended, but I also don't, if that makes any sense. Like I said, it's bittersweet. Because I love like Loki. He's just fun. I don't know. Like Tom Hiddleston said in an interview with Jimmy Fallon, he said that he was like quoted in it. He said, "This is the conclusion to season 1 and season 2, and it's also the conclusion to 6 films, 12 episodes, and 14 years of my life. 14 years. I was 29 when I was cast. I'm 42 now. It's been a journey."
Hot damn.
Dang, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah.
Man.
So I feel like this will be, in my opinion, I feel like this will not be the end of Loki.
Yeah.
He will be in a limited capacity, but he wasn't in a lot of stuff to begin with anyway. It was mostly Thor movies.
Yeah.
But I do think that I think he's going to show back up in Secret Wars. I'm just getting into that theory for a second. I think because he's now the god of timelines, the multiverse, whatever you want to call it. The god of stories is what everyone keeps calling it. Rob from Comics Explained said that he could be possibly was it Atlas, which is the custodian of the multiverse. He appeared in 2002 Jim Starling's Infinity Abyss.
Huh.
But I do think because he's like holding on to all the branches of the multiverse, he could see, the Council of Kangs plotting and doing things, and then he could assemble a multiversal Avengers to help battle these Kangs in Secret Wars or something like that. I mean, also, if you'll remember, Loki's first power is that he can astral project like an image of himself. So if he's holding on to every timeline, he could easily do that now that he's like some kind of like god of time.
The He Who Remains.
Yes, exactly. He's He Who Remains. Some fans have pointed out that the Time Stone is green and that Loki's powers are green as well. So I don't know if they're intentionally tying that together. It's just how humans see similarities in things, and we try to, put things together that not necessarily fit together. But anyway, I just thought that was cool.
Well, and not only can he possibly see or astral project into any of these timelines, but he can also essentially end or prune any of them at will, because he's the one that's giving them life force as well.
Right.
Which was, I don't know, that was more crazy to me, that he's actually the living life force of all those strands.
Yeah. And I love the imagery of when it pans out, and turns and it looks like Yggdrasil, the like world tree, the like from like Norse mythology. I just think that's fucking awesome. I don't know who wrote that idea, who came up with that idea, but I was just like, oh, that's such a cool twist.
That's what I was gonna ask. Is that where did he create the tree now? Because we've gone through the whole done the 9 realms and stuff like that in Thor: The Dark World. So like, did he create the tree now that's like that everybody talks about with all the 9 different realms and stuff?
I don't know if it's the tree or if it's just like it's metaphorical. but yeah, I mean, I'm fine with either way of like that is Yggdrasil and Loki created it all along. That's a cool like twist on everything.
Did you notice too, after they had panned out to that and went back to the TVA, that the sacred timeline looks like the tree now?
Yeah, on the monitor.
Yeah.
And their posters around, or let's all grow together. We can grow together or something like that.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
And they're watering a tree and stuff.
One of the cool things I noticed on my rewatch is when he explodes the loom and all the branches, like the timelines all like spin out or whatever, they make like the creaking of like tree branches kind of noise. So I don't know. I don't know if that's like, they were, I don't know if the Foley guy did that intentionally because he knew eventually it would form a tree or what. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool. So going to my notes, first thing I wrote down was just Tom Hiddleston is amazing.
Yeah.
His acting throughout here, whether he was excited, whether he was sad, whether he was serious, like all of that, his facial expressions, everything was so freaking on point. And when I wrote this down is when he finally realized that it didn't matter what they did for the loom, and just in his like happy, sad part where he's like telling Timely to come back. Like he was just that, like it was done. It was over with. He finally finished it, and his face and all that. I was just like, man, he's so freaking talented.
Yeah. He really is. I love the moment where when Timely's going out there and he's talking to him like he's a child, and he says,
"That's it, one step at a time. Be brave. You're being so brave."
I love that. I fucking love that audio. Like, it so sounds like a dad talking to their child.
Yeah. And then like whenever he goes to set the thing down, he's like,
yeah. What did I tell you? Don't put it down. It'll fall off the catwalk. Yeah, all that stuff was great. Which, by the way, you called it like it was absolutely Groundhog Day, but with like Loki.
Right. They're like decades, centuries.
Centuries later.
Yeah, they pulled a SpongeBob. It was.
I know. I was really wanting them to.
1,000 years later.
Yes. I was really wanting that to happen.
You and your sound bites are so on point tonight.
I know.
I'm loving this.
I did a lot of work this last episode.
It's so fucking worth it because I'm loving it. Y'all are talking about like just the moments and things that are said or whatever, and how much y'all enjoyed them. There are so many good lines in this episode with most purpose is more burden than glory.
Yeah.
And I know what kind of God I want to be for you and for all of us.
Yeah.
Real
quick, Michael, someone had an idea that the TVA should change their plaque where it says for all time, always. It should say for you, for all of us, always.
Yes.
Oh, that would be good.
I think that should absolutely change. And that would be really cool if they do that.
What if they prune the one that's there away?
Yeah.
And that's how it ended up over there in front of Renslayer.
Well, I got theory. Like, that's the weakest part of this episode is the Renslayer stuff. I got theories on that. We'll get in. I don't know if you want to get into that because you were talking about quotes and I interrupted you. So I'll let you get
fine.
back to
Let's go. Renslayer.
Oh, okay.
Because I have ideas too. And I don't want to lose them.
So I think when we see that plaque, it's that we learn that the void is actually like it was the TVA after like an explosion or something when the loom blew up or something like that. And then my theory for Renslayer, a lot of people are theorizing that she ain't dead and she's going to show back up later in Kang Dynasty or something like that.
Yes.
She looks at the pyramid and the Sphinx right before Eliath like goes to like eat her, and I'm using "eat her" in like quotation marks. We know from the comics that I believe it's the Sphinx. I said it was the pyramid in a previous episode, but anyway, the Sphinx is like Ramatut, Kang, whatever you want to fucking call him. It's his like time machine.
Yeah.
So I think she either knows that or she's just going to hightail it towards there for safety and then discover that it's a time machine and somehow escape. A lot of other people have theorized that purple light we see, because we don't actually see Eliath, and Eliath like supposedly was killed when Loki and Sylvie did their thing, is that it's a version of Kang that was in, like, they got pruned somehow or something, and they're going to figure out a way to like get out.
My theory is that yes, she's gonna go get the Sphinx and time travel, because why stare off towards it?
Yeah.
Like we've all been looking at that thing since season 1 and wondering if that's gonna come into play. Like there's no reason. And there's actually a version of Renslayer that is a Kang. So there's that.
Okay.
There's also Renslayer in the comic books became a character known as Terminatrix.
Right.
And actually went face to face with Eliath. And that's where you get the first appearance of Eliath in like comic books.
Right.
So there's so many possibilities like that could actually happen. Like, you know, does her and Eliath team up? Does she just able to outrun Eliath and get to the Sphinx? I don't know, but I think we're not done with her.
Yeah. I agree with that, because like, what was the point of that scene if we're like, you didn't need that scene unless it's like a, because what I'm getting at is if nothing happens from that, then what was the point of that scene? Like,
Exactly.
you could have just left it where she got pruned, and we know where she goes when she gets pruned. She goes to the void. So anyway, I absolutely agree with you that like she's definitely coming back in some capacity. I don't know when, where, or how, but she's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to end it, you get her, you do a shot of her, the purple coming on her, and then you get a shot from behind. And when she stands up, she turns around and faces the camera then, and you see Goliath behind her, and she just runs until Goliath just consumes her.
Yeah.
And it's done. You know what I mean? That's a cool shot. You're done. You know what I mean? Story over. So, yeah, I think she's coming back. That's just my opinion. I think that was all like the cool quotes that I had.
There's one I have. I mentioned you mentioned it, but I had it written down. Is what I'm trying to say. Is the one that Mobius says most purpose is more burden. Boyden. Most purpose is Boyden.
Boyden.
And the monkeys and little Simpsons reference for y'all. Anyway,
right.
Sylvie, I like when she says that, like, I grew up in apocalypses, Loki. You've lived through enough of them, or I've lived through enough of them to know that sometimes it's okay to destroy something. And then Loki replies, like, adding on to that, he's like, if there's a hope that you can replace it with something better. And that's like when it clicks with him of like,
right.
I know what I need to do now.
Yes.
And anyway, I like that scene. That scene, and then when it shows the world tree, I got like goosebumps on like the rewatch.
So first of all, knowing what happens and then doing a rewatch of this is freaking delightful. Just for me anyways, because I was able to see everything and like you're talking about and piece those words and how they would do the camera angles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvie's looking straight on with you and it's like, okay, I really need to pay attention to what she's saying at this point in time because this is real shit. Like
it's the mullet.
And so that's when you yeah.
It throws you off.
That's when you get those like key moments of like him piecing it together. Like from the equation on, he's figuring it out, talking to Mobius, talking to Sylvie, and that's what's so cool doing a rewatch of this. If you haven't done one already, I highly suggest it. But the scene for me that was like didn't necessarily give me goosebumps, but it's just the best scene I think in this entire thing. What? Oh, I did love that.
Okay,
I'll have a Coke.
No,
do what?
I'll have a Coke.
It's when he goes out to the loom
Okay.
and all the TVA clothes are coming off, and he is assembling the Loki outfit. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked like Hellboy with those, the way that horn crown came up. I liked it. I thought it was really cool. Even like down to the slippers that they showed. I thought those were really cool.
His penny loafers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the ascension up the steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To where his throne would be. I was like, oh, this right here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is great work right here.
It's so heartbreaking too when rewatching it and knowing where he ends up when he's like, when he goes back to the moment that He Who Remains gets murdered and Sylvie's like, you're tempted by a throne or whatever. And he's like, I don't want a throne. And it's just so heartbreaking knowing that he will get his throne. He will be burdened by his glorious purpose. And it's just
right.
Like, God damn, man.
Yeah. Like you said, bittersweet though, at least for him, especially.
Yeah.
But going to like what you're saying, Richard, that was a really cool moment to me whenever he was there talking to He Who Remains, and like where He Who Remains thought that they were having that conversation and trying to be all coy with Loki. And then Loki does his like pauses time or whatever. I thought that was just because in that moment, you're like, oh crap. Like He Who Remains has got Loki in this trap basically. And there's just going to be no escape. And you think that Loki is he's pretty much done. But then all of a sudden he does that and you're like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Gives you this whole new hope. And that was just really cool.
Yeah, that's my favorite moment. I think like the most badass moment. I honestly, that entire conversation with He Who Remains and Loki, I just loved because like he kind of changes his attitude. Like that whole, honestly, when it starts and it's like Groundhog Day again, where he like, you just keep hearing him die and he's like, see you soon. And it almost feels like after a while, it almost feels like he's not even talking to Sylvie. He's just talking to Loki.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, yeah. And then he's talking and his like attitude changes because he kind of puts on that whole like, remember in season 1 when he's like getting up on the desk and he's like talking about like the multiverse and then he's like reincarnation, baby, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then he gets kind of serious for a second. And then he's like, well, why don't you do this 1,000 more times and come back to me when you finally, you know, have learned. And then Loki like pauses time and he's like, and what makes you think that this is the first time we've had this conversation? Like, I was just like, God damn, that's badass to me.
Yeah.
And then you can see Jonathan Majors like changes his tone even more to being like, okay, I've got to be super serious now with this guy. And then he's like, oh, okay. And anyway, I just loved it. Great acting on both actors is just a really powerful scene.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I love that part. So and that's like that. I don't know if you got my whole like on Boondock Saints. There's that part where he's like, I'll have a Coke. And that's the reason why he does this little spin his finger up. And so kind of that same way.
That's a good movie.
Yes, it is a good movie.
Boondock Saints. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That was another note that I had on mine. Like, Majors, I think, is great in this.
Yeah.
Of course, we get the same timely, but He Who Remains, that's what I was going to ask. Did it seem different? Did it seem off to y'all as well? And it sounds like it did to you, at least, Richard. Like, it did seem a little different. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that kind of like thought that.
Yeah.
Because I was almost on the verge of like, I need to go rewatch the season 1 finale.
I think it was intentional. Is like the He Who Remains that we saw in season 1 was putting on like a show for the 2 Lokis until he knew that one of those Lokis, I'm assuming he always knew it was going to be like Loki and not Sylvie Loki, but would show back up and they would have the ability to time slip because he knew, you know, whatever, he paved the road and it would lead them all the way back to this moment. And anyway, yeah, I feel like he definitely changed his attitude more and more as like he learned Loki eventually figured it out.
It threw me off at first, but I've the more that now I've seen it twice, I like it more now because he comes off way more like a villain.
Yeah.
Than he did the first time around.
Right. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that as well. He seems way more sinister now.
Yes.
And like, you're like, oh, so you are definitely a Kang variant. Like you are a total asshole.
Right? Let me ask this though. How does the elevator scene work?
What do you mean?
In the elevator scene in season 1, he had his pad programmed to all the different places he needed to be, but still relevant so that he didn't die
Right.
in the elevator. And yet Sylvie takes a stab at him and
Loki
stops him.
Yeah.
But we don't see that in season 1.
Right. Because he time slipped.
Right.
My assumption is that he didn't know. I don't know. To be honest with you, this is one of those like timey-wimey like things. Maybe he did know that like one of two options are happening here. If Loki time slips, he catches it, or if he doesn't, then I teleport out of the way or something. I don't know.
Because I mean, the difference is that Loki gets rid of his sword, right? Again, I it's been a while since I've seen the season finale of 1, so I don't remember him getting rid of his sword on the elevator in season 1.
Yeah, he doesn't in season 1. He doesn't get rid of his sword, but she has hers, and she does jab at him. But they, like I said, he teleports out of the way.
He moved.
Yeah,
behind them.
Yeah, I forget what happens. He does something. Yeah, I think it is. He teleports behind them, but I don't know. It also could be that he's always known like this whole scenario of Loki time slipping was going to happen. So he could easily, like I said, just know that I'm not going to die in this moment.
Yeah, because I mean, he sits there and he's got the whole thing worked out. Like he knows what's going to happen and when and stuff like that. I don't know. That one kind of bothered me because I was like, I think you kind of went a step too far there before it kind of messes up things. Because are we going to sit there and say that it makes a branch? Like, is that now a branch timeline where that happened?
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't know, because at the end of like the Citadel and also in the TVA, like they're outside of time. So I don't think it makes like a branch, but none of that makes sense when he's time slipping, because he goes to multiple different versions of throughout like all the different seasons. Like, you know, when he goes back to the like when Mobius is like interviewing him and he asks him the whole thing, like, does Mobius now remember that conversation when Loki like sacrifices himself at the end, or is that like a different Mobius? Like,
right.
So that's I don't know. Like that's one of those things that one day we'll figure it out, but I can't figure it out right now.
Oh. Another note I had to lighten the mood up a little bit was when Victor Timely successfully came back, you know, from the one single time he did not get spaghettified.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Loki's like giving him a pat on the chest and he's all excited. There's no way I'd breathe any of those fumes that are coming off of that suit. That has got to be lead and asbestos. Like, there's no way that's not toxic.
That's the only way it survives that coronal radiation or whatever, because it's just lead and asbestos.
Yes.
That's funny. I thought you were going to talk about, because everyone's been asking, he says pumpkins when he comes back. He's like, they're all celebrating, and Victor Timely just goes, pumpkins. It's just like, what? And nobody, like all new rock stars, everybody that I've watched, nobody can figure out why he says pumpkins there. Like, they're all assuming it's like just a weird ad lib thing that Jonathan Majors did.
Albuquerque.
Yeah,
I can do it too.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fucking weird.
I just figured he smelt pumpkins whenever he took the helmet off, and that was his first.
That's the asbestos. It smells like pumpkins.
That's what happens when asbestos and lead mix together, and the fumes of that make pumpkin spice.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, so that's what's wrong with everybody nowadays.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, I love me some pumpkin spice, man. I will die for that. I guess I got cancer now or something.
The only thing that makes sense to me.
I've got a. I'm not going to do it. I kind of like you pasta here for a second. This has nothing to do with comics whatsoever. I went to the grocery store the other day. I forget what it's called now. Fresh Market. Went to Fresh Market the other day, and they had all this like pumpkin spice stuff. And because like it was, when I say the other day, it was like a month ago, because like the pumpkin spice had come out, because it's like one of my favorite things, and it only comes out like around one time a year. So anyway, I'm buying all of it, and I'm at the checkout, and the lady just, I bought everything, like literally everything. And like I'm at the checkout, and like the lady's like checking out, and she just goes like, she looks down at it, and then like kind of looks at me with like a raised eyebrow, and I was like, "What?" She's like, "Really?" I'm like, "What?" I was like, "I like pumpkin spice." And I was like, it's like one of my favorite things. I can't help that it's become like a meme now. And she's like,
Right?
well, she's like, I guess I get that or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, can I like something without someone yucking my yum as far as like pumpkin spice goes? Like, I'm a basic white girl. What do you want from me?
I mean, it's even with the all these people. That thing nowadays is the whole everybody getting all bent out of shape of like Christmas decorations up before Thanksgiving. Like Thanksgiving is still going to happen, people. Just because Christmas lights are up doesn't mean that Thanksgiving just disappears.
No, that's an atrocity, and you're a fucking monster. Okay.
Well, they are up. They are up, and they are shining bright like diamonds.
I figured they were. I figured they were.
Yeah,
that's great.
I'm okay. I don't know how I feel about it. Like usually I like it like the day after Thanksgiving you can do it, but if it's like when Halloween is still going on, that's when I'm like, no, absolutely not. Is that what you do? Oh my God.
Well, because like I was the like day after Thanksgiving, I was putting stuff up, but then it grew. And all the lights and stuff grew, and I couldn't fit it all in one day. And I was like, I'm not going to spend stressing like Thanksgiving break to get these lights up. So I'm putting them up and having plenty of time.
I give people a pass if they put them up, but don't turn them on.
No, they came on tonight.
God damn.
If testing is one thing, if you got to test your lights or whatever, I get that. No, I mean like actually turn them on and like you're now celebrating Christmas or whatever festivity you're celebrating at that point in time. No, you're an abomination. Like
An abominable snowman. Of course, we don't ever get snow because we're in Texas. So.
You're going to jinx yourself on that. They had a fucking ice storm here however many years ago.
Yeah. Was it last year? Or I don't know. Time is relative now. I feel like I'm in the TVA.
Let's say I hope you get a generator now. You just jinxed yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got one.
Trying to go back through my notes. Get us back on track here. Mention of Kang from Quantumania was in here.
Yep.
That's who was in the file when they were saying a 616 adjacent realm.
Yeah.
Kang. That's who they were talking about.
Quantum realm.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So thought that was cool that we've already we've seen that.
This is all in 616 now.
Yeah. Sure. Whatever they want to
do. Victor Tommy doesn't get a TVA book now.
Nope.
So I guess there's no, like, he's not a...
I mean, there is a branched version because Loki, like, that didn't get pruned. So there is a branched version where he gets it. So he shows up at the end of the TVA to see Loki do all that stuff.
So did they...
Or did he kill that one off?
Well, did they make note of that just to say that He Who Remains is not going to be coming back kind of thing?
I don't know, man. I think it's just there is going to be a Victor Timely that is on, like, I guess what would be called the sacred timeline that doesn't get a book. And he will just go off to be a humble candle maker because that's what he's doing when he's a kid.
Yeah.
Or he'll be called Vic T.
Vic T.
Those prototype candles.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. With Miss Minutes logos on them.
Yeah. We do see the handbook gets a set. By the way, the handbook showed up yet again in the final episode.
Yep.
But yeah, it gets a second edition where it credits both Victor Timely and Obi.
Oh, that was what was on there. I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what
I
it was.
tried,
What was so special about those either?
Cool. Okay. So here's a note that I made. MODOK ain't got shit on Loki. And what I mean by that is that, you know, they do a whole joke with MODOK in Quantumania, I mean, about him becoming an Avenger or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
There towards the end. You look at Loki and what he started out from and to what he is now, and how, like, this is a character who has gone from being the villain, the big bad or whatever, to being like the actual superhero of the Marvel Galaxy universe, whatever. I don't even know what you call it anymore.
The multiverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what we need to see more of.
Yeah.
I feel like, as far as from Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you want to do something like that?
You mean character growth? Yes, absolutely. We need to see
Right?
that.
Right? Like, if you got a character like MODOK, make him a bad guy, for God's sake. Make him a bad guy. I don't need to feel for Darren Cross. I don't give a shit about Darren Cross. I didn't give a shit about Darren Cross in the first movie. He was dead.
No, he was a throwaway character, which is why they killed him off in that movie. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Honestly, Loki, like the character of Loki, has gotten so, like, he is up there with Iron Man as far as like the character development they gave him throughout these X amount of years that they've been telling stories with him. And I'm so happy for, honestly, Tom Hiddleston. Like, in other words, if whatever reason the MCU goes down in flames from here on out, Loki at least got in my opinion, it's bittersweet, but a beautiful send off. Like, if this is the last time we ever see him, it's like at least a beautiful send off for that character.
Totally agree.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that, like, I told my wife after we finished the episode. I was like, just thinking about it, just amazing to see that, like you said, Michael, that he's the way we first initially knew Loki is that he's a villain, and that, you know, he kind of had his moments here or there that you weren't sure about him, but he was still a villain. You still didn't trust him, to now where you, like, truly care about that character, about him, and, you know, don't want to see him, like, you wanted him to have a happy ending. Like you said, you wanted him to have baby Lokis everywhere. Like, so, and before you were okay if he got killed off or whatever. But, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it also, like, just to add on to that, Jeremy, too, like, the comic book, like, it says a lot. Like, I talked about it last week, where, like, Loki is like a big name, like, villain, but like, no one really kind of gives a shit about Loki. I mean, I know there will be probably some people screaming at us that, like, I'm the biggest Loki fan, but like, like, he was not really the biggest name. And for them to do all the shit that they've done with him, like, he's the only villain, right? He's the only villain that's lived throughout these entire, like, MCU movies.
Yeah.
Baron
And
Mordo.
What? No.
Dormammu.
Yeah, I guess Dormammu's the only one that you can say. Because didn't Baron Mordo die? Now I'm confused.
No,
did he live?
Baron Mordo hadn't died yet.
Okay. I couldn't remember if he died in Multiverse of Madness. I need to rewatch that. Anyway.
Rumor was that he was supposed to, but
Gotcha.
I don't remember seeing it. So, sorry. I didn't mean to knock you off course there.
That was basically all that I had to say. But yeah, I just think it's a really, once again, it's just a testament to them crafting this sort of character arc for Loki throughout the however many 14 years, 12 episodes, and 6 films. Anyway.
And what's so bad is that, like, they've not done that to any, you know, you just compared them to Iron Man. I've seen that comparison too, and it makes complete sense. But it would be so easy to do Hulk that way. And I understand there's a whole rights thing, and that's why they haven't really been able to do a whole lot with Hulk. But Hulk would be another easy one to do like that. Except for now that they're not gonna happen. They don't have enough time to do it.
Yeah.
My opinion, anyways. Thor. I think they've completely ruined Thor to where, like, there's no way you're going to be able to give him an arc like that.
That's the one glaring one to me. I'm like, boy, I bet you Chris Hemsworth, if he saw this series, was like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't they do that with me?
Well, and Hiddleston's probably like, I'm sure glad I didn't get Thor now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Black Widow, like, that's another one. She gets her own movie finally, and, you know, that's going to be her swan song out of it. and all it is to build up Yelena Belova. Maybe Clint. Clint's probably the next closest one you could possibly do that with, only because he's like getting ready to pass the torch, and we've kind of seen more of like what he's had to deal with in Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, come on, who really cares that much about Hawkeye? You know, like,
Yeah,
Rainer's cool and all, and I like what he's done with the character. I'm just thinking of, I feel bad for him right now because he recently, I was going to tell you, I'll talk about a little bit off podcast, but real quick, once again, Comic Composite. There was an article recently talking about, like, you know, he had his accident. Yeah.
He's been going through hell, like, with rehab, like, just to walk, basically. So I don't know when
Motherfucker is lucky to be alive.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know. He was like in such a bad accident that, like, I think organs were outside of his body, kind of thing.
Shit had collapsed from what I read.
So anyway, he's just had a lot of like rehab to like do and try to get back. So anyway, I was just thinking, like, it'll be a long time before we see him in the MCU.
Yeah. And they fucked over Rhodey.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't.
Yeah.
Armor Wars isn't even going to save that shit.
Yeah. If it even still happens right now, because who knows? Because everything's so, like, they're moving shit around, they're reshooting stuff, they're doing this, they're doing that. So anyway, who knows? Wanda
is the next one. Wanda's the next one you can do that with. She's an easy bring back. There's no body.
Yeah. Per the, like, that book with like the definitive timeline, it's saying that she died in Mount Wundagore, but fans argue that, like you said, I didn't see no body, so she ain't dead.
Yeah.
And I'm not that way, but I'm also like, she's like, because I've read so many comics, she's dead for as long as until a writer wants to use her again. And then they will just go, nope, she's back.
Right. Well, and like Olsen's talked before about how she's down to come back, and
yeah,
that's the only one that I could see you actually doing, because she's gone from being a villain to wanting to be a good person to being hurt and going full villainy to then being like, oh fuck, I fucked up again, and so now you can get her rise back, to actually like doing a sacrificial, like, good deed kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, last note that I got is just, like I said earlier when I was doing the intro, the shots on this, the one-on-one perspectives, the way the cinematography for Loki as he's ascending to the chair, to the throne, all that stuff. And then the score. My God, the score. Like, immediately after doing the second rewatch, I went and looked to see if I could find the season 2 album, because that end score of him, and how it's the Loki theme, but they've changed it and made it like deeper and louder. I was just like, fuck, I want that.
It's a good score. I've been humming it, like, I don't know, for the past 4 days now.
But I feel like all that made that episode even more so what it is. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like for me, that's the stuff that drove this story. That's the stuff that actually like did what it needed to do.
Cool. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. Like, I think score definitely plays into it. But yeah.
Good talk. Okay. Y'all got any notes? Y'all got anything to add? I mean,
well, I have a question for y'all. Do y'all think this is a series finale? Because in my opinion, this absolutely is a series finale.
I mean, yes, I could see it could be either way. I think it'd be a great series finale if it is. But I mean, just selfishly, I hope it's not, just because I enjoy them. So,
well, the reason why I don't want it to be a season finale is, what if they undo this beautiful ending? Like, you know, in other words, like I'm fine with if Loki, you know, whatever, they fix the multiverse and Loki doesn't need to sit on the throne in like Secret Wars. But like, if season 3 of Loki comes out and they're like, hey, Loki, come on down off your throne. We need your help. You don't need to hold that anymore. Obi made this device, and like, it just completely undoes everything that like happened in this episode. And like the writer, Eric Martin, he was basically saying he wanted to tell 2 parts to it, like a book. And like Loki season 1 was the first part, and Loki season 2 is the end of that. And it also, once again, like the first episode of season 1 is named Glorious Purpose, and the last episode of season 2 is named Glorious Purpose. So once again, it makes a loop.
Yeah.
All the loop stuff. So I like all that's ruined if the season 3 comes out to me.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to commit and I'm going to say yes. This is a series finale because, like you're just saying, I think it would ruin a lot of stuff if you bring him back for another TV show. I think that Loki will be back, whether it be Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty or something. Loki's, I think, he's going to show up in some kind of form or capacity.
right.
Somebody's going to have to go to the end of time to try and help or whatever, or get his help to pull the multiversal Avengers out, like you were saying. Something to that effect. Mobius is no longer at the TVA. That's another reason why he's taking a sabbatical or something. I don't know. Renslayer's coming back, like we've already discussed. So that's a whole, but that can happen in Kang Dynasty. That can happen multitudes of ways. Doesn't have to be a Loki TV show. Third, I think or fourth, wherever number I'm at now. I think the technicality of it is that TV shows have to, per either, I can't remember what there was an article that came out, and there's a reason why TV shows change names. And it has to do, mostly, I think it has to do with money
Yeah.
and how it's dispersed and stuff like that.
They don't get royalties if you change the name slightly.
Right.
You're referring to the Daredevil Born Again series name change. Yeah.
Yes. So I think if we do get another TV show, it'll be called TVA.
Yeah. That's what
Or
I
it'll
was
be called Time Variance Authority or something like that.
Yeah.
And to go to catch up with B-15 and Obi, and because I mean the B-15 was a cool character. I'm not gonna lie. Like now it looks like she's over the TVA. And Obi, I mean everybody freaking loved Obi. Like how are you gonna get rid of him? And then like I said, Mobius, figuring out where he's at, that he would be part of the TVA show. So
you could easily bring Mobius back in. Like I know he says like he could go off, like have a vacation, if you will, and then be like, you know what? I kind of hate this. I want to go back to the TVA. And then just boom, he's back in it.
Right.
Like it's different with Loki, who's like holding the unit. Like Loki
giving life.
It's metatextual. Loki is literally holding the MCU together right now by its threads.
Right. It's so meta right now.
Both the show and the character.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna commit with no, there will not be a Loki season 3, but I could definitely see a TVA Time Variance Authority season 1.
Right.
To finish up any other loose ends.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Loose Kangs.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother thing. They could be looking for Kang.
Yeah, that's their only, like, I was like, so what do they do? They just make sure that like incursions don't happen? Because if that's the case, y'all are sleeping on the job. And the only thing I could think of is like they're just trying to monitor He Who Remains variants, since that's the war that's coming.
I was gonna say, I don't even think they're worried about. I think the incursions and the multiversal war are two separate things.
Mm.
So I think they're solely worried about the He Who Remains variant.
Gotcha.
The Kang variant. I don't think they have anything to do with the incursions.
I wonder if the incursion. No, I don't know. See, because they mention incursions in Multiverse of Madness, I was going to say is like maybe incursions don't happen until after Kang Dynasty, and like whatever, Loki can't hold on to the branches or something, and they're just willy-nilly flying about and they're smacking into each other, and that's what's causing incursions now. Yeah. They're just two wet noodles slapping up against each other.
That's so bad.
Yes.
Interesting, but that's so bad. All right. So, whelmings. What's y'all's whelmings on the entire season?
I'll go ahead and do mine as overly whelmed. I mean, like I said, it's definitely my favorite Disney Plus Marvel series, and just overall a great story. So yeah, I definitely really, really enjoyed it.
It beat out Moon Knight for you?
It was a close call.
Yeah, I think this now, I want to say I liked WandaVision back when we were like ranking all these. I want to say WandaVision was my number one favorite, but now after season 2 of Loki has dethroned WandaVision and made it my top favorite Disney Plus series. If you haven't watched this for whatever reason, fucking go watch it all. It's great. Tom Hiddleston is amazing in this series. If you like Doctor Who, this is right up your alley. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I'm overly whelmed by the series as a whole.
Awesome. I agree. This is definitely pleasantly to overly whelmed for me. Really enjoyed it. Hiddleston is just, his acting's awesome.
Yeah.
And I love seeing Loki just kind of rise back to power, so to speak. But it's still a turn for like the good. You know what I mean? Because just we started this season off where we saw him with the powers and him getting the horn and stuff like that, and it just progressively just got better and like more powerful. So awesome in multiple areas. So cool. Y'all got anything else?
I think I'm good.
Yep, that's it for me.
Awesome. Jeremy, where can they find you at?
They can find me on Twitch under the handle Night Fury GTO. That's Night with a K. And you can find me here, not playing Spider-Man 2.
That's what I was gonna.
Oh.
Are you playing Miles at least? Have you progressed any? Where are you at? Where are you at?
See, he knows it's Finn, and he just found her the recordings of her and Rick, and that something apparently happened to Rick.
Pickle Rick.
Rick, yeah.
Pickle Rick.
No, not that Rick.
Oh.
Tinkerer Rick.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. I can't think of his name, but anyway.
Rick Mason.
Mason, that's it.
The guy that like nobody hears about in the MCU?
Yes, Rick Mason.
That same Mason?
Yeah, but he's the Tinkerer in the video game, yeah.
Well,
he's the Tinkerer in the comics as well, but
I was gonna say, well, his dad is.
I thought he's in anyway, Rick Mason in the Miles game, Finn is the Tinkerer, but Rick Mason is, I want to say, yeah, the Tinkerer in one of the comics. I don't know which one. But I don't know if it's like the Ultimate Universe or the regular 616 universe, the proper 616 universe. Yeah. Anyway, the Tinkerer is the like villain in the Miles game.
Well, okay then.
I forget what the stuff's called. I need to play through
With New Form.
Yeah, like the technology that she uses to like do all that weird shit.
Yeah. No, that's like they were trying to shut down New Form or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like the first story from like Spider-Man 1 with Peter. Miles, I'm like, there's a couple of stuff you've kind of seen it already where like Roxxon's kind of like the villain. Yeah. And I'm like, they have their own like militia and army that you're like fighting through the city. I'm like, Amazon doesn't have their own army. Like what I'm getting at is like, yet. That's true. God, I hope not. Anyway, anywho,
they'll come in 2 days.
That's funny.
Hired help in 2 days.
Unless you order within 30 minutes.
Sign up for Amazon Prime now so you can get your blaster rifle and, I don't know, body shield.
Your very own militia sent to your door.
Yeah. In just 2 days.
Richard, where can they find you at?
If you want to contact me directly, I have an X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram, and a Threads. My handle is Night Curry, night like day and night, and Curry with a K. If you want to contact us directly, we have a Gmail. Our Gmail is comicallycomicspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to check us out on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, you can check us out under the name Comically Comics Podcast. And if you want to check us out on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, you can check us out under the name Comically Comics with an X.
I love that. You can find me on Instagram and eBay at 22_comics. You can also find me on YouTube at 22 comics. Thank y'all so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed as much as we did making it. With all that being said, say goodbye, Jeremy.
Bye, Jeremy.
Bye, Jeremy. Bye.
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glory.
Phil? Hey, Phil? Phil? Phil Connors? Phil Connors, I thought that was you.
How you doing? Thanks for watching.